Male, 27. I moved back to Florida 2 years ago to be with my mom and sister in their house in Florida after serving in the military. I moved back because I wanted to help with bills, bond, and become closer to them and enjoy them as much as I should have before the Army. Throughout the past 2 years, I struggled hard with mental health, but kept my head up and pushed through. Then soon my mom began to spiral downhill out of the blue after a breakup with a guy she loved. She isolated herself, drank heavy, and became an alcoholic, depressed, pulling her hair or starting fights and being very irritable a lot. My mom has bipolar, OCD, and depression and anxiety she stopped taking meds for. I love her so much and to death, and tried so hard to convince her to push herself to get better, motivate her, and even took her to rehab myself, only for her to refuse to go in as soon as I dropped her off, wasting my time. I stood by her at her lowest, and even when she was fighting constantly with my sister. I was admittedly living with her rent-free and would help her with bills here and there at first per her request too. She wanted me to save money. Then she lost her job and had to use her 401k and burn through 64k in a matter of less than a year. White a mix of paying bills, going to a casino, and spending on things for her. She tried to keep financially afloat, but every day she was depressed, barely knew where she was, and trying hard to find a job, but literally no one would give her a chance. I watched my mom go from a strong, happy, independent woman who was the top employee at her job to lose her job and spiral down, and become an alcoholic, damaging her liver and etc. more and more, and landing her at the ER a couple times for abdominal pain. Over time he became more verbally abusive and aggressive and would start fights over anything. I would try to hide her alcohol and stop her from drinking, and she would get very angry and even as far as put her hands on me and say such mean things. She would tell me to leave if I don't like it, but I had no funds to, and I felt like I had to stay as I had no choice. She got a job at Applebee's, but they treated her like shit, so she quit. The past 4 months we decided to sell the house. I had been contributing greatly, and even giving her $1,000 a month to help with her bills and etc., and trying my best on $32k net a year with my own bills. She would say I owe her money, and I'm not doing enough, and talk a lot of crap, which I took and accepted as I felt guilty about not helping her more before, but I did a lot in terms of emotional support, taking her to ER, giving her money to buy food or whatever she needed, and I pretty much did the entire house sale for her as she was just in another world, drinking, not caring about her life, and exhausted and destitute. We sold the house because we couldn't afford the mortgage, and she still hadn't found a job, and even with me it wasn't enough. During the sale, she met a convicted felon who I later found was a sex offender convicted of sexually assaulting a disabled woman. I showed her proof, and she didn't believe me and was in full denial and didn't seem to care he was a sex offender. He also had a dangerous rap sheet and had numerous violent felonies like armed robbery and etc. She would invite him over and he acted like he owned the house. I also found notes in her phone implying he hit her before. And this angered me so hard. She was infatuated with scum abuser, but it was her house, and I just couldn't do anything. The tension was incredibly high and it led to fights. One day they came home drunk and he tried to talk to my sister and she ignored him, and he got angry and started yelling and threatening her, and she slapped him, and I had to step in and stop him from attacking her. I threw him out and argued with my mom. Over the weeks she didn't care and seemed so reckless, drinking while driving, hanging out with this scumbag, thinking she's in love, and ruining her life, and it led to so much grief over my mom's decline from such a high place years ago. Many times I had to leave work or etc. to find her cause she was too drunk to drive, or her anxiety crippled her to where she couldn't drive, and helping her navigate unemployment, SNAP, and many other things to make sure she was good. My mother used to be such a good, strong woman, and she took care of me and my sis alone and raised us well, but despite growing up with BPD, mother was hard and made me a type of way where I am really anxious. I also am not perfect and have PTSD/depression from my time in the service. She supported me while I was in heavily and was always there for me. Essentially, when the house sale came, the net proceeds was $52k, and I was dead broke and mentally drained from everything. We agreed on wiring the funds to a joint account where I'm the primary holder. When the funds came as I sat in my car, I thought about everything and felt numb, and out of nowhere decided to transfer $32k to my account and leave her with $20k. I changed my phone number, left her a long message of my grievances, and cut contact. I still feel conflicted and terrible, like I betrayed her and left her destitute despite having $20k. I know technically it's her house and the funds were hers. I feel like a thief and like a terrible son despite doing everything for her I could. I feel she hates me forever now. I used the money for an apartment and important other things, and to have financial security. I feel bad cause she said she needed to pay debts and get things and etc., and which is why I left 20K. I am sure I am the asshole and terrible as a son RN despite the mental abuse and anguish I had to deal with trying my best to make sure she was safe, secure, and good. Even today, she's hanging with this felon who has a warrant too, and I fear for her safety. I fear she's depressed and grieving me and something bad will happen despite the money. I felt I should have more because she would waste it anyway like she has before with a lot of money she had and give it to this felon. I saw in the joint account she's spending on jewelry and liquor and hotel rooms. I cry almost every other day over her and the greed of cutting contact and wondering if she will be alive still. I will reach out to her, but it will be in a long time once I'm mentally okay.